we discussed critical appraisal of scientific evidence, we agreed that there are two critical success factors for us to learn critical appraisal and how to do it successfully. One is to understand very well evidence-based medicine and the hierarchy of the scientific evidence. And two is to have a systematic approach. In our previous tutorial, we discussed the process and the systematic approach not to miss any step in the process of the critical appraisal. And today, we will refresh our information about evidence-based medicine, especially that today we have a new addition to the pyramid of evidence or the pyramid of evidence-based medicine, which is the real-world evidence. So these components are very important, but actually understanding deeply evidence-based medicine is not only important for critical appraisal and academic writing and these skills, but actually it's important for us as medical affairs in everything we do, in even our key opinion leader engagement. Without the critical understanding of evidence-based medicine, we will not be able to be involved in any scientific discussion or make any scientific argument. So let's refresh our mind about evidence-based medicine and how it is important for us as medical affairs in the healthcare sector.
The pharmaceutical industry, and particularly the medical affairs teams, play a pivotal role in shaping patient care. They are integral components of healthcare system. The medical team's influence and contributions are deeply embedded in the patient treatment and healthcare delivery. This central role underscores a fundamental truth. One cannot effectively work in healthcare, engage with healthcare professionals and patients, or contribute directly or indirectly to patient care without a deep understanding of evidence based medicine, its various types of clinical evidence, and the hierarchy governing this evidence. Evidence based medicine is the cornerstone of clinical decision making, ensuring that treatments and interventions are not only scientifically sound but also tailored to individual patient needs. The types of evidence, ranging from randomized controlled trials to expert opinions, each play a distinct role in building a comprehensive understanding of medical treatments and patient outcomes. The hierarchy of evidence further guides healthcare professionals in evaluating the strengths and applicability of different research studies, ensuring the highest quality of evidence informs patient care. For professionals in the pharmaceutical industry and medical affairs like us, this knowledge is a practical necessity. It informs every aspect of our work, from drug development, regulatory compliance, to patient and healthcare professional educations and clinical trial designs and interpretation of data. So, understanding evidence based medicine enables us to make informed decisions, put the right strategies, contribute to the advancements of healthcare, and ultimately improve patient outcomes. Evidence based medicine represents a pivotal shift in healthcare, emphasizing the integration of clinical expertise with the best available clinical evidence from systematic medical research. It's a practice that has fundamentally transformed the medical decision making and healthcare delivery. According to its definition, evidence based medicine is the conscientious, explicit, and judicious use of current best evidence in making decisions about the care of individual patients. It involves a balance of three important elements. One, clinical expertise, and this refers to the skills and experience of the healthcare professionals. It includes his understanding of the patient's unique clinical circumstances and personal preferences. Two, the best research evidence, and this is clinically relevant research, often from basic sciences, but more importantly, from patient centered clinical research. And it involves studies and outcomes that are relevant to each patient care and situation. Three, the patient values and preferences. recognizing the fact that each patient brings their own set of values and expectations to the clinical encounter. Evidence based medicine respects and integrates these individual patient concerns and expectations. The concept of applying scientific evidence to medical practice has been around for centuries. However, it was not until the 1970s and 1980s that the term evidence based began to be commonly used. In the 1960s and 1970s, there was a growing emphasis on clinical epidemiology, which is the study of patterns, causes, and effects in patient populations. This laid the ground for evidence based medicine, and the term evidence based medicine was formally introduced in the early 1990s by a group of epidemiologists at McMaster University in Canada. They emphasized the importance of using empirical evidence to make clinical decisions. In the 1993, Cochrane collaboration was formed, focusing on systematic reviews of randomized trials. And this was a significant step in organizing and disseminating evidence for healthcare decision making. The introduction of internet and digital databases in the late 1990s and early 2000s greatly facilitated the access to medical research, further propelling the evidence based medicine movement. And over time, evidence based medicine principles have been increasingly incorporated into medical education, emphasizing the need for new physicians to apply research findings in clinical practice. Today, evidence based medicine continues to evolve with the advancements in data analytics, personalized medicine, and a growing emphasis on patient centered care. It's not just about applying research findings, but also about integrating these findings with clinical expertise and patient preferences to provide the best possible care for patients.
Now, let's shift gears and focus more on the hierarchy of evidence and see how is evidence arranged from the bottom to the top of the evidence-based pyramid. And then the last stage or the last step will be making the link between the evidence-based pyramid and the critical appraisal process.
The pyramid of evidence based medicine. What it is, what are the levels of the scientific evidence that makes this pyramid, and how it can help us as medical professionals, whether in medical affairs or as healthcare professionals. The pyramid of evidence based medicine is a hierarchical structure that ranks the strength of evidence from various research methods, aiming to guide the clinical decision making. At the base of this pyramid, we have the expert opinion and background information. These reports provide context and foundational knowledge, but actually they are the weakest level of evidence, or in other words, they are the least robust evidence. As we go one level up the pyramid, we get the case series and the case reports. They are descriptive accounts of individual cases or series of cases, offering insights again, but again with limited generalizability. One level up, we will see the case control study. Case control studies are retrospective studies comparing patients with a condition to those without it. And this type of studies offer valuable information, but in fact, they offer also lower level of evidence. The next level, we will see the cohort studies, and these are observational studies following groups over time to assess the outcomes, providing moderate level of evidence. So the cohort studies are estimated or considered as the moderate level of scientific evidence. This will be followed by the top of the pyramid. At the top of the pyramid, we have the randomized controlled trials. And randomized controlled trials are the strongest level of evidence. They deliver the highest quality of evidence through well controlled experimental designs. Only these are followed by the systematic reviews and meta analysis at the very top of the pyramid, providing comprehensive summaries and collective information from multiple randomized controlled trials. And this is the highest level of evidence. Now, I have a question. What about the real world evidence? These data and evidence that we collect from real life clinical practice. Where can we capture real world evidence on this pyramid? The answer is that real world evidence falls between cohort studies and case control studies in the pyramid. This type of research, real world evidence, enhances the pyramid by incorporating data from real world clinical settings, offering practical insights into the treatment effectiveness and safety in diverse populations. So it's an addition, a valid, valuable addition to the pyramid. So we can consider real world evidence in this regards as moderate level of scientific evidence. But in fact, they can also be the strongest level of evidence if we consider the results in the context of the entire hierarchy of the scientific evidence, which we call the integral approach in medical research. This pyramid can be used mainly for guiding clinical decisions. It provides structured hierarchy for evaluating and applying clinical research to patient care. This will ensure that decisions are based on the highest quality evidence. It also helps to standardize medical practice by offering clear guidelines on the best available evidence, and this in turn will reduce the variability in patient care. Additionally, this pyramid of evidence based medicine can enhance patient outcomes. By prioritizing the high quality evidence, it improves patient outcomes through the use of proven and effective treatments. In addition, it can also be used as an educational tool. It serves as a framework of education for healthcare professionals, helping them to understand and differentiate between various types of evidence. Moreover, the pyramid of evidence based medicine can be a very good tool for resource allocation because it assists in the efficient allocation of different resources by identifying the most effective interventions. And this, in turn, will minimize the use of less effective or even risky medications or interventions. Also, related to policy making, it can help informing the health policy and clinical guidelines. And this will ensure that they are all based on robust and reliable evidence. And of course, the pyramid of evidence based medicine can be used in research prioritization because it highlights the gaps in current evidence base. And this will guide the future research efforts towards areas where more high quality evidence is needed. Ultimately, the pyramid of evidence based medicine will help developing patient trust. It builds patient trust and confidence in the healthcare system by demonstrating a commitment to evidence based practices. And so, these are the ways we can use evidence based medicine pyramid.
Now we come to the third and last part of this tutorial, which is the link between the pyramid of evidence or the hierarchy of scientific evidence and the critical appraisal process. It is very important, so stay with me.
As we are talking about the critical appraisal of scientific evidence, it's very important to discuss the link between the appraisal, the critical appraisal, and the hierarchy of evidence. Understanding the link specifically between study design and the hierarchy of evidence is very important. This understanding is not just academic, it directly influences the decisions that are made by the healthcare professionals, researchers, and also by the pharmaceutical industry. These are the areas where stakes in patient care and treatment outcomes are very high. And the main objective of critical appraisal is to filter the evidence and select the most valid and the most applicable. So, if we can get an indication from the study design, linking it to the hierarchy of evidence, this will be very helpful. The hierarchy of evidence as a guiding framework and as a reminder, it's like a ladder where different types of studies are positioned at various levels based on their reliability and susceptibility to bias. At the top are the most reliable evidence. We typically find systematic reviews and meta analysis at the top, followed by randomized controlled trials, and then cohort studies, case control studies, and so on, down to the expert opinion and case reports at the very bottom. This hierarchy serves as a guide, suggesting that the higher ranked evidence, like randomized clinical trials, are generally more reliable due to the robust study design and lower risk of bias. These studies are often seen as the gold standard in research and the gold standard in evidence because of their reliability and ability to provide more accurate, determine cause and effect relationships. There are contextual considerations in assessing the evidence. The hierarchy is not a rigid rule book, but a flexible guide. It's important to consider the context of the research. There are situations or instances where lower ranked evidence might be more relevant or even the only available evidence for a specific clinical question. For example, in a rare condition or rare disease or ethical scenarios where randomized controlled trials are not feasible, observational studies or case reports might provide the best available insights. And later in this course, we will discuss some ethical dilemmas related to randomizing patients to placebo. So, that is to say that in some cases, in rare conditions, whenever there is an ethical scenario, and you cannot conduct randomized controlled trials, observational studies or case reports even might provide the best available evidence. So, what's the role of critical appraisal and how we can make the link to the hierarchy of evidence? No matter where the study sits in the hierarchy, critical appraisal remains an indispensable tool. This process involves a meticulous examination of the study methodology and other aspects, as we discussed before. How it was executed, the study, and its relevance to the question at hand. It's about asking, was the study well designed? Were the methods appropriate? How were the results analyzed and reported? It's everything related to the study. And this is to ensure that the findings are not just statistically sound or significant, but also clinically meaningful and applicable. So the evidence or the pyramid of evidence or the hierarchy of evidence here is just a guide when it comes to the study design, how reliable this was, and how bias-free it was. For professionals in the pharmaceutical industry and in medical affairs in general, the ability to assess the validity of different study design in relation to the hierarchy of evidence is very important. And it is not about knowing which type of the study is better. It's not at all like this, but understanding each design's unique strengths and limitation. So this understanding is what informs really evidence-based practice, allowing informed decisions that can significantly impact patient care and treatment outcomes via differentiating the types of evidence and going into these minor details. To conclude, the hierarchy of evidence, while valuable framework, it is just one part of the puzzle, and it serves as a guide, nothing more. The true essence of evidence based practice lies in the ability to critically appraise and contextualize the research findings. Regardless their position in the hierarchy, you need to go through the steps verifying or assessing the validity, importance, and applicability according to the parameters that we discussed in this episode. These skills, especially, are vital in the field of medical affairs in the pharmaceutical industry, where you need to analyze and do the critical appraisal for different studies, not necessarily the studies that are supporting your portfolio, but any type of studies in the same therapeutic area.
And that's it for today. I know it's a lot of information, but I think with the aid of technology, you can repeat this part or that part over and over again. Thank you for your attention and see you soon.